Is that magical hats in my Labrynth deck? We also have ABC, and we have Jack Atlas Turbo Edition. Make sure you smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. Yes, magical hats. Remember, during your opponent's battle phase, choose 2 spawn trap cards from your deck and a monster in your main monster zone. Special summon them as normal monsters in face down and defense position. Set the chosen monsters, and if it is face up, shuffle them onto the field. The 2 cards chosen from the deck are destroyed at the end of the battle phase. You know, we have some interesting choices here for this. The fact that Magical Hats just kind of gets the chance to show up as a very memey card, I think is kind of cool. Also, you know, are we really able to you can actually transaction roll back the Magical Hats as long as it's during the opponent's battle phase. You know what? We're not even going to get into the intricacies of this craziness. I see we're also playing 2 copies of the Boo Boo game in here as well. You know what? Sure. If you're looking for an extremely fun Labrynth deck, hello, Diabellstar. Why are we playing Diabellstar in here? We're just playing this, especially this by discarding a card. And then, of course, we can search for the Sinful Spoils, but we're not playing Silvera or anything. I guess they just wanted to have this as a monster to turbo out to get, you know, something out of the hand, I guess. Maybe a dead transaction rollback or something. They're also playing Elemental Burst in here as well. There is so many weird things going on in this pile, but, you know, this was able to top its locals. So I find that to be one of those things of either everybody else was just terrible in the room, or, you know, the Magical Hats was just so frickin' ingenious. We're also playing 1 copy of the Fair Welcome Labrynth in here as well. Okay, well, you know what? Innovations come in all shapes and sizes in this game, and I love to see that. Next up here, we have the ABC Dragon Buster and friends. Now, with the current iteration of this deck, while this deck does look extremely good on paper, and you can go through so many cool combo lines with this deck, I think the same problem kind of still exists with this deck, that you just have a lot of issues with trying to push through boards. You know, your best ending board's going to be setting up some ABC Dragon Buster with the split apart option with whatever, you know, sub option you can put up. You've also got the terribly tired teddy bear kind of set up as a defensive line to assist you as well, so that, you know, the game can kind of go in your favor. I guess it's one of the things I do like about this deck is you have a lot of extremely cool utility options to kind of throw at your opponent. We're also playing... Does Revolution Synchron on into the Shooting Riser Dragon? Does that actually come up all that much? I guess, like, in a situation where you have to Revolution with the Water Enchantress to star combo, I guess that's kind of a thing that you can do. And then, you know, Shooting Riser can go ahead and get a free mill off if need be. Actually, you know what? I think the Shooting Riser Dragon in this is actually kind of ingenious. Especially, you know, because you want this to be set up so you can do, you know, the standard little combo lines that you want to do for, you know, the token generation to get to the Griffin Rider, to get to the large monsters to pressure your opponent. Also, this good guy right here actually gives you, I think, some very interesting things that you can do with this deck. I haven't really considered the value that we can mess around with the pack bit so far, but let me tell you, this card with the ruling that you can, if something wasn't properly special summoned, you've got it in the spawn trap card zone and you can special summon it from the field to the field. With this, that ruling is actually very, very interesting. So good stuff to see that somebody is working on some success out here with the ABC Dragon Buster special. Next up here, this managed to also do extremely well, and I'll be honest with you, seeing Witch of the Black Forest showing up in a deck like this was not necessarily something that I really considered out here. Because you gotta remember, with the erratas for these things, you know, being like, you cannot activate cards or effects of that card's name once per turn, I guess, as long as you could get, like, search for something that doesn't resolve a key effect, and you can just, like, special summon it without activating it for the inherent side of things, that's kind of where you get your value with this. We're also only playing 2 copies of the Stone Sweeper in here. To be honest with you, kind of looking at some of the ratios in this. I find these very interesting. We are playing the Chaos Space to get to the Lubellion. The Lubellion unfolds you into your mini Bysteel package, so you can kind of do your thing. You got to remember, the Bysteel stuff is used as stepping stones to kind of get you through the larger synchros here. Also, this card right here, don't underestimate this. I fairly recently learned that BLs is still an extremely good card. One of those things that you don't really think about is just how good that this card kind of can do some stupid things. We are citing the one copy of the red screen. I mean, 3,000 life points to stop your opponent from just kind of playing the game for several turns is kind of nuts. We're also playing one copy of the Etude of the Branded. We've been seeing this card kind of show up a lot more now. Especially in the more, I guess, roguish decks. Free Synchro Summons, going to be pretty good. Still got to stop the opponent with this. We're also playing the Archfiend Eccentric. This interaction is kind of cool. Of course, we are doing the triple Resonator Call. I mean, why not, right? Your entire deck is just turboing through some Resonator Stepping Stones. You also have some Lure of Darkness in here, kind of get you some interesting hands. Oh, hey, look. We have the free Chaos Space Search here. That's pretty good. We did get the Stone Sweeper here. Alright, I mean, this isn't terrible. I think this deck's got some pretty interesting potential. Alright, what else we got back here? So, Supply Squad with Mementos. Once per turn, if a monsters you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, we can draw a card. Okay, so, how does this work? So basically, remember, all of your little Memento friends here all include a nice little systematic, some sort of pomparoo, and we can go ahead and kind of do our thing, and we can start generating advantage off of this. Now, my problem with the supply squads here, and evidently this deck wants to be able to go second, it wants to board break. I will say, yeah, having the magical midfield breaker in here is pretty good, because having that protection for your monsters to ensure that your opponent literally cannot target them is extremely important. I've learned, you know, especially in such a large hand trap format like we kind of got going here, where you can just lose the game because your opponent just opened up 4 hand traps. Having something like the Magical Midfield Breaker to eliminate about half of those threats still means you have to play through something, but this deck is trying to do that. And I think what their logic with the supply squad was we can start netting into some additional advantage. We're also playing 41 cards, which I think is fine. You just got to remember, you can only apply this effect once. So maybe if you do get the game back to a later turn, and you know, these can kind of start paying dividends on your field to kind of start generating some advantage. I also see we're actually playing triple copies of the Bone Back. Well, I mean, to be fair, this is another extremely good card for the interaction with this. And of course, we are doing 2 copies of Combined Megazord Creation. Yeah, I think that this deck has some pretty cool potential. Remember, once we get the next round of fun stuff, you might get another shot to see what more we can do with this. And our last list here is some Raid Raptors. So this build has managed to round itself out to 40 cards, which is actually pretty nice. I also see here we are packing in the triple Crossout Designator. I guess your biggest hand traps that you're just worried about in here, you have the triple Ash, the 2 Veiler, 1 Mourner, which I think Mourner does kind of hurt a little bit. And then, of course, we are focusing on 2 Imperm, so that's what, 8 hand traps that they've managed to squeak on in here. I also find it very interesting that they're getting away with playing the Rivalry of the Warlords in here as well. I've kind of noticed Rivalry has been a staple for a lot of these Raid Raptor decks. Obviously, you know, being able to flip this, you know, everything's Winged Beast underneath the sun for you in here anyway. If you got to summon one of these to kind of try to do something, you can't. All right, Darkwing Beast. Everything in here, these don't matter. So these should never be touching down on your field whatsoever. I think everything in here is pretty standardized. You stripped off a lot of the fat that I've seen a lot of the other builds using, trying to go into like the super big Kali King Yuga stuff. Just rely on the Rising Rebellion Falcons to kind of take care of the game for you, and you shouldn't have much of a problem whatsoever. Raid Raptor still is very good at making ignorantly large boss monsters to punish your opponent. Whew, a lot of very interesting decks, especially Magical Hats as an application out here. was not on my bingo sheet of things to see. But I do think that that does open up the door to some pretty crazy ideas. But we will have to wait and see. So what do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Peace. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.